It's confirmed as a major piece of Minnesota's offense will miss some time in what many fans expected but were still dreading, garnering split reactions online, while it also introduces the possibility of a major move for the Vikings heading into this regular season. We're going to break down all that in this episode of Vikings Digest, but first, if you're enjoying this Vikings content and you want to help us reach our goal of 1,600 subs by the start of week 1 of the preseason on Saturday, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the updates as they drop. And with that, let's hop straight into it, which is that the ruling is in. So if you guys saw yesterday that Jordan Addison has been suspended by the NFL for the first 3 games of the 2025 season for violating the league's substance of abuse policy. The suspension comes after Addison resolved a 24 DUI citation by pleading no contest to a lesser charge in July. Now, right off the bat, obviously we want to say to you guys, if you guys are going out there and drinking, do not get behind the wheel. Obviously, bad decision. Do not do it and put yourself or others at risk. Now, going on from that is that Minnesota, they have come out and they have condemned everything that Addison did. They just hope that he's able to turn over a new leaf and is able to just start over when the discipline ruling comes into effect. And now we know what that discipline is. As far as the conditions of that discipline, Addison is permitted to participate in all training camp activities, including preseason games, without restriction. Upon the start of the regular season, however, Addison will be prohibited from entering the team facility for 3 weeks per the terms of his suspension and without pay. So now that's going to leave a bit of a hole for Minnesota because the first round pick out of UFC in 23 has logged 133 receptions, 1786 yards, and 19 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons with Minnesota. Despite not yet breaking 1,000 yards in a single season, Addison has proven himself as a quality number 2 option alongside superstar wideout Justin Jefferson. Now, obviously, Jordan Addison isn't the number 1 guy there, but you can make a case that he could be a number 1 guy or at least a 1B on almost any other team. As far as wide receiver 2s go in the league, there's not many that you can name that are better than Jordan Addison. T. Higgins is probably the number 1 guy up there. Devontae Smith is probably number 2. Then you got Jordan Addison right behind him. But with the production that Addison can put up, if he has a full season of all health and is getting those looks, he is able to be on that level of T. Higgins and Devontae Smith, no question. The skill is there, the speed is there, the finesse is there. It's just a matter of getting those looks and not force-feeding JJ, or at least being available, whether it's through injuries or suspension. Availability is the best ability. Unfortunately, they will not have Addison available for those first 3 games. So when you look at the depth chart here, that's where it gets to that next man up mentality that we always talk about from the days of the Patriots, where if they had an injury, all right, next guy up, get up there. And now you look at the depth chart for Minnesota, it's going to probably have them rely on TJ Hawkinson and Josh Oliver a little bit more, getting Rondale Moore and Ty Felton involved. Jalen Naylor, who just signed that extension, he's going to get some looks as well. So this is going to be a big season for these guys, at least for the first month of the season, with those first 3 games without Addison, because Jefferson, we know he's going to get his looks. We know that Jordan Addison would get them if he's there. TJ Hawkinson, they might run a bit more of 2 tight end sets or just run a 2 wide set and not have a guy in there if they just have Jefferson, Naylor, and Hawkinson, or they go with Hawkinson, Oliver, Naylor, and Jefferson. I don't really see them just implementing a ton of 3 wide looks or 4 wide looks just to start the year until Rondale Moore is fully healthy and is exactly where they want him to be. But this is all on the side of, okay, there's 2 sides to look at this that the fans are divided on online. One of the sides was, okay, we're all right. We don't need to have him for those first 3 games. As much as it sucks not having him, it's not a massive blow like it would be for some other teams, or if it was Jefferson that was getting suspended by this. Absolutely agree with that. Then you have the other side of things where, looking at this wide receiver core, some people are saying it's good, but it can be better. We're a 14-3 team coming off of last season. We have JJ McCarthy on his first year under center. He's got a lot of weapons to throw to. Why not get him a few more weapons? Why not go a little bit of shopping here and see what we can get as far as a filler for that position? Or even if Ty Felton, there's a little bit of divisive or mixed reactions coming out of training camp as far as his production has been, or his progression, I should say. Rondale Moore is going to be used on special teams as well, so you don't want to overutilize him, especially coming off of a nasty injury. So that does leave the question of, if Minnesota is looking at another wide receiver, who is out there that they could bring in, even if it's for the first 3 games as the main part of it, but this is someone that they could bring in that starts out as that. And then unfortunately with Addison, if the guy flashes, Addison drops down to wide receiver 3, which I don't necessarily see happening, but it's all a matter of who they bring in. One person that a lot of people are jumping to right away as soon as the trade request happened and matching that with the suspension rumblings, Terry McLaurin was, of course, the big name that everyone is jumping to for the Minnesota Vikings. However, looking at that average annual salary, I don't know if Minnesota is going to be able to pull that off, and especially it's not worth jeopardizing a future worth of your team for a guy that you realistically only need for a couple of games, even though I would love to see JJ have a weapon with Terry McLaurin, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison as a wide receiver set with TJ Hawkinson. Absolutely insane, but it's too expensive. It's not gonna happen for Minnesota. As much as I would love to see it happen, Scary Terry and Justin Jefferson would be insane. It would take a lot of attention away from Addison, a lot of looks away from him, so that would lead to a disgruntled wide receiver 2 who becomes wide receiver 3. We saw that happen with a certain free agent that we're going to be looking at in a second here, where his time went from a 1,000-yard receiver to being a free agent now that is struggling to find a job. And that's going to lead us into where we look at the wide receiver free agents that are out there available. Of course, the one that I was referring to just a few seconds ago was Tyler Boyd. He was a part of a crazy trio in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and himself, and they wanted each of them to get 1,000 yards. It didn't pan out that way, and Tyler Boyd became a boomer bust type player. It really only was producing when T. Higgins wasn't playing. Then he goes to Tennessee and kind of fell off a little bit, and now he's on himself. He's a free agent now, and nobody has picked him up. That is a very appealing name that I could see Minnesota going after, because he's a guy that isn't going to try and overshadow Jordan Addison. He's not going to try and step on his toes and try and steal his job. He's just going to be a really good competitor and just do the best that he can. And I think Tyler Boyd still has some good ball left in him. He is at 30 years old, so he'll be 31 by the midseason point of this year. So that is something to look out for. However, when a guy that you can bring in there that has 9 years of experience, that can produce and can make great catches, and we've seen him do it, especially with a guy like Joe Burrow throwing in the ball, get him a guy like JJ McCarthy, that could be very useful. And it's a guy that when Jordan Addison gets back, he's not going to be trying to stay in that number 2 spot. He's going to be fully fine with going to that number 3 spot and competing with Josh Oliver week in and week out, and then rotating Rondale Moore in there. Ty Felton, I could see him getting more opportunities maybe next year as a result, and just seeing him more on special teams or just in the preseason. But overall, when you look at the other names on the list, Mari Cooper, too expensive. Gabe Davis, maybe. I do like that one as the other choice on there. I think Gabe Davis and Tyler Boyd are the most appealing names when you look on there. Jamison Crowder is old as dirt, so you're not going to bring him in. Allen Robinson, same thing as well. Deontay Hardy's not a bad choice. It's a very cheap option, so Minnesota could do that. However, I think when you're looking at the other options there, Brandon Powell, you could bring back a familiar face as well. But Tyler Boyd and Gabe Davis, obviously I'm staying away from Nelson Aguilar because he doesn't know how to catch and he's old. But Gabe Davis, Tyler Boyd, I think those are the biggest names on there, where if Minnesota is looking to beef up that wide receiver room and they're not fully content with what they have right now, or they just want to take a little bit of pressure off of JJ McCarthy, I definitely see Tyler Boyd and Gabe Davis as solid options for Minnesota to be looking at. Gabe Davis might be a little bit too expensive, but Tyler Boyd, you bring him in there on a 1-year deal where he can just, hey, try and go on a crazy run for the playoffs or maybe a Super Bowl run. Bring him in, maybe 1 to 2 years. Why not? Give it a shot. Take a chance on him, and he's not going to be a major risk or anything like that. We know that he's very capable. He's a guy who can put up 700, 800-yard seasons. He can get 5 to 6 touchdowns, and he can be a sneaky option at a wide receiver 3 spot once Addison comes back. But let us know what you guys have to say about all this down in the comments as well. How upset are you about the Addison suspension? Were you guys expecting it? I know a lot of us were. And do you guys think that Minnesota needs to go out and get another wide receiver for not just those first months of the season, but also just as another piece to add for JJ McCarthy to play with? Let us know down in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Vikings Digest. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.